Because of Joshua's diagnosis, pervasive developmental delay, there's an aspect to it that means that he lacks certain social skills. Um, I'm still a little bit concerned at times that he's not understood by other children, and his temperament and his behavior, may not be, I don't like to use the word normal, but typical. He's a lot smarter, and because of the therapies he's received, he's a lot smarter than a lot of kids his age, in the sense that, he takes speech therapy, so he speaks very clearly and precise. So he's very detailed in the things that he say, and he's very literal. He takes things literally. So, certain parts of our personality and the way society works, certain things are unsaid, but you kind of get the indication of what they mean. And Josh is very literal, but through social skills therapy, he is learning to, and he has learned to kind of blend in, with other children and learn how to play and interact with kids. And I think the challenge for us was, with typical children, that comes normal. With a child with autism, you have to teach them that. And at times it was frustrating, but right now I can't say I have any major concerns, because he's developed a close group of friends. And there are kids that, understand that he's a little bit different. They don't tease him about it, and they know he's a great person, and those are his core group of friends. So at times, yeah, I do have concerns about the future, like when he goes to college, will he be alone, or will he fit in? But I think those are concerns that every parent would have. So now that he's in a typical classroom, a lot of those fears have gone away, because he is blended in with typical kids. But at times, it's still a concern, and I have to honestly say, when he's around other kids, I'm constantly watching to see what his interaction is like with them and how they respond to him. So I guess I would, I think I guess I would say I do have a concern, but it's not an overwhelming concern, because he's learning, and he has learned coping mechanisms as far as, not understanding things that people say and do, and kind of how to separate himself so he can gather himself, as opposed to other kids on the spectrum that would have a kind of meltdown or whatever. So we are teaching him strategies that will help him to deal with people socially, and incorporate himself into society as, all typical children would. Speaks. The organization itself, it's huge, and I think it's responsible for starting a lot of chapters, if you will, in different cities and different communities. So whereas, you don't necessarily receive services directly from them, they are a great resource and kind of an umbrella organization to kind of gather all of those small groups together, so we can be one large collective voice. I know that several legislations that have been passed through Congress now that forces health insurance companies to cover autism therapy. It would not have happened had they not, mobilized the people as they have. So they're a great resource in the sense that, it's a community. It's a solid community of parents and therapists and people that understand this disorder and want to see it go away. So in that sense, it put me in touch with my local resources to get the help I needed. Well, honestly, I thank God that I am probably, or my son would probably be, what you would call a success story. Because we got intervention early on. He received different types of therapies. We've had a very strong support system through his teachers and his therapists. And so right now for me, I'm ecstatic. I mean, he started off in special needs pre-K, doing therapy 4 to 5 times a week, get on the weekends, and now he's in a regular second grade classroom, top of the class, received all honors in first grade. So I'm just really fortunate that we were able to get the help that we did when we did, and we didn't give up. It was hard, But, through tapping into the resources through Autism Speaks and the Marcus Autism Center here in Georgia, and just getting involved in the community and meeting other parents that had gone through the same thing, and just really fighting on his behalf to get him the things he needs. We couldn't afford therapies, and insurance companies at that time were not paying for the therapies. They wouldn't even pay for the diagnosis, but we didn't give up. We just did what we had to do. I mean, one of his teachers, she was a therapist at the school, but she also did it part-time, and she was practicing an alternative therapy that they don't do in school, and that medical and insurance companies don't pay for it. And she agreed to do it for us in our home for about $25 a day each time she came, and it was a sacrifice, but it worked. And we're just very fortunate that being in this community, we've received the support that we have. And he's one of those kids that if you meet him and you see him, you wouldn't know that he had a disorder. So we've been blessed. Well, when Joshua was about 2.5 years old, we had noticed prior to that some of the things that he developed as he was growing into a toddler, he kind of started to regress. The first thing we noticed, that his speech started to regress. I think at around like 16 months old, he started, he was doing the baby talk and the mama and the dada and things of that nature. But after a while, and specifically for us, we noticed that around 18 months that he was, instead of growing in speech, he started losing his speech, and then his behaviors had changed. He was always kind of a mild-mannered child, and he would start having like temper tantrums and things of that nature, and he was really reclusive, and he wasn't like that as he was growing. So we started to notice that, and with losing the speech, that means he lost his communication. So there was more of whining and screaming and getting out of control because he couldn't communicate what he wanted. So those were the immediate changes that we noticed. Actually, when my son was diagnosed with PDD, which is under the autism spectrum of disorders, it was very devastating because at that time, the information out there was all really negative. Like, there was nothing positive, and because of the way autism is, it's different for every person. So no one could say to me, well, this is what's going to happen to him in the future, or this is what his life is going to be like. So that was initially the scary part, which kind of sends you into a state of shock, if you will. Like, at that point, you are almost mourning the loss of having a normal child. That lasted, I'll say, for about a week with me. And then I just kind of got out of it, snapped out of it, and said, no one's going to tell me that my child can't do this or can't do that. I'm going to figure out a way. So that was my approach.